one more time. Larry Correia is one of my favorite authors currently writing. I've read his Monster Hunter International and Grim Noir Chronicles series a number of times and have suggested them to a number of people, including getting a friend to read most of them during a couple road trips that led to him getting hooked and suggesting the books to a handful of other people who've also become fans. The reason that I so readily suggest these books is simple. They're really, really good books. Mr. Correia has affected a style that resonates with many people and can write engagingly in both first person and third person quite effectively. His stories are simple, straightforward, and easy to understand. His characters are deep, complex, and relatable. And the worlds he's built grow more vast and detailed with each story told. Mr. Correia's first series, Monster Hunter International, begins with the titular novel and tells the story of how the main character, Owen Zastava Pitt, accountant, becomes aware that there are monsters in this world and decides to dedicate his life to protecting humanity from them. For a sizable profit, of course. The book begins with a hook that will engage most anyone who's ever held a job. On one otherwise normal Tuesday evening, I had the chance to live the American dream. I was able to throw my incompetent jackass of a boss from a 14th-story window. The reader's immediately curious as to the details, while at the same time remembering back to a time when they had a similar temptation with their own jobs. The narrator, Pitt, then proceeds to recount the series of events that led to his losing his CPA job, learning that monsters are real, and being recruited to hunt monsters for fun and profit with Monster Hunter International, the oldest and most successful monster hunting company in America. Over the course of the story, Pitt falls in love, finds his calling, and becomes a whole new man. This book is the start of a great series, but even by itself it's a fantastic adventure. On its face, it's a story of a battle of good versus evil, but it covers many deeper, more complex themes and introduces us to the slew of dynamic, interesting characters Pitt meets along the way. Like Mordecai Barika, the old Polish ghost who's functioning as Pitt's mentor, as Pitt learns of his calling. Or John Germain Jones, trip to his friends, a former high school chemistry teacher with dreadlocks and a drive to always do the right thing. Or Holly Newcastle, hard-nosed ex-stripper with a boob job and a passion for inflicting violence on monsters. Or Milo Ivan Anderson, ginger redneck mad inventor with an often decorated beard, an always jovial personality, and a faith to believe in the righteousness of his actions. There are a lot of themes repeated in this book, but none are preached and none are forced. They're all enmeshed into the story and characters so that the subjects come up naturally due to the progress of the story. The first is a very heavy dose of anti-authoritarianism. From the start, we see that Monster Hunter International and the federal government's Monster Control Bureau are at odds with one another. The MCB hates MHI and would love nothing more than to shut the company down. MHI, on the other hand, is of the opinion that if you want something done right, you don't give it to the government to be done. Some rules are meant to be broken, some laws don't deserve to be obeyed. This friction between MHI and the MCB is seen throughout the story, where even when both groups are working toward the same goal, they're more antagonistic than helpful. Another big theme is a praise of capitalism and competition in general. Part of this is obvious, in that the primary method by which MHI is paid is through a government bonus system called PUF, the Perpetual Unearthly Forces Fund. Each monster has a bounty on it based on its difficulty to dispatch, its frequency of occurrence, and its danger to the public. Between PUF and contracts with different companies and localities, MHI makes very good money, but there's always other groups competing for those contracts, and MHI only gets paid for the work that they do, so they have to work hard to remain the best in the business. A third theme is that of having and maintaining flexible minds. This isn't relegated to just believing that monsters are real. It's a necessity for an understanding that not everything is as it seems at first, that everything is a learning experience, and that anyone, regardless of any observable factors like race, age, sex, or religion, can be an ally or a friend. It's a praise of the individual over anything else, and a devotion to the freedom therein. The last theme I'll cover here is also the motto of MHI. Sic transit gloria mundi. The glory of man is fleeting. This theme is a lot more complex and touches on a number of smaller themes. The glory of man is fleeting. Everyone, no matter how powerful, no matter how important, will die. Death is unavoidable. So when you must die, do so for a purpose. Let your life and death be a sacrifice to protect and save that which you hold dear. The glory of man is fleeting. Life is brief. You have to fight to survive. Nothing precious is ever given freely, and life is the most precious commodity. The glory of man is fleeting. Enjoy what time you have. It's the only time you've got. Sic transit gloria mundi. The world is a dark place, but there is light in the darkness. There is always hope to fight back the despair. The glory of man is fleeting. Man's time is brief, but oh, what a glorious time it is. Another big thing in Monster Hunter International is the level of attention to detail Korea pays. This is done in 3 ways. First, as a firearm enthusiast himself, Mr. Korea is well acquainted with the technical language, colloquial jargon, and casual lingo used when discussing guns at both professional and amateur levels. He inserts this knowledge into the story, subtly slipping the information to the reader as Pitt explains something he's doing, or as he recounts a discussion on the subject. He explains the types of ammunition the monster hunters use: 45 for pistols and subguns, 308 for rifles, and 12-gauge for shotguns, as a matter of convenience in reloading and uniformity in distribution. This detail makes the story more engaging to the readers and, because of its accuracy, can further engross readers with any level of knowledge on the subject, because it doesn't just sound realistic, it is realistic. Second, he inserts small, inconsequential details that just are without being necessary. It didn't really matter, for example, that it was a Tuesday that the story starts on, but these small details solidify the character of Owen Pitt in the narrator's role. People remember little things that are random and unimportant, and those details work their way into their retelling of a story. This makes Pitt seem more like a person actually telling a story, rather than a being cut out strictly for the purpose of telling one, and the more real Pitt seems, the better the story holds your attention. The third level of detail is, in a sense, a lack of detail. The story is being told from Pitt's point of view. This means that all the information that the reader knows is information that Pitt knows, and the only way Pitt can learn something is through other people and his own observations. This means that much of the mythos of the world is unknown. For example, silver hurts many types of monster. Why? Well, there are some who think it's because silver is a pure metal and monsters, being impure, are pained by it. Others think it has to do with Judas and the 30 pieces of silver that sealed Christ's fate, reacting to the presence of evil. Who's right? Nobody knows. This lack of detail means that there's always another secret, always another thing to be learned, and no one knows everything. That adds a depth to the world that mere detail wouldn't provide. The reader has to think of their own reasoning, or decide for themselves which belief is the truth. This book is Ghostbusters with balls. It's aliens with variety. It's supernatural with meaner monsters, more metal, and a whole lot more ass-kicking. Check it out for yourself. Monster Hunter International by Larry Correia.